What's up, everyone? I'm gonna see, make sure. Yeah, I think the sound is good. Hopefully, it is, right? Okay, I gotta make sure y'all see my BFTB merch that I'm rocking today. You know, I was excited to have this one on. I forgot about this one, y'all. And so I ran across it, I was like, oh, I hadn't worn this one. And so that made me, just so excited. And I was like, you know what? Today's a good day to rock, that BFTB, Best Fight the Best, aka my amazing big brother. So we are back in here today, y'all. And for anyone that has been rocking for the last couple of weeks, where we have been working in internal family systems, specifically with parts work, I'm so excited to have you back. Blessings to you. What's up, Insane? So happy to see you here. Praying that you're having a good day so far. So we've already gone through what's a condo? What's up? I'm so happy to see you. I'll see you here and there, right? And then I'm like, oh, because I'm always thinking I wonder what a condo, where he been at? I'm praying you've been well, and likewise with your family. A condo, give me a second, because now I know how to add people as moderators, and I don't know why that gets me so excited. Let's see. All right, y'all. Okay. So, like I said, we started parts work. And I'm only going to do just a brief recap for anyone that wasn't here when we first started. I'm not going to go into detail just because, time is of the essence. Y'all know I don't like being on too long. Hi, mommy. How are you, beautiful mommy? So happy to see you. My number one fan. Love you so much. Um, so yeah, time is always of the essence for me. Also, we have a lot of our other favorite channels that are going to be coming on pretty soon. And I want to make sure I give space so I can tune in to those channels as well, right? So when we first started, we wanted to take a look at that big umbrella of major parts of self, right? And what did we find out? We said we have the inner child, right? We have the exile part, right? Managing part. Then we have that firefighter part, right? But the purpose of knowing these various parts of self are to be able to operate in that core self. That's what's important. We should not be going through life being managed by all aspects of self. Just listen to what I said. Your inner child shouldn't be managing your current and core self. All right, let's move on. Like I said, I'm just going to briefly recap. If you get a chance, go back and check those videos out as well. The second thing we did is we wanted to find out why sometimes don't we connect to these various parts of self. And what we discovered was that it can be because it's an inner critic part. We talked about how these parts can have internalized aggression. They have this internal conflict with each other, right? And so that's why we're not so quick to be like, yeah, that's a part of myself, because we may start becoming judgmental towards that part. So we talked about that inner critic, the one that constantly has you questioning self, the one that places that tad bit of self-doubt. It's not a lot, because it doesn't take a lot of self-doubt for you to not go through and follow through that what you've set out to do, right? It only takes a little bit of self-doubt, that inner critic, that inner voice, that negative self-talk, to have you abort the whole mission. And that's just a few of the aspects that we did discuss over the last couple of weeks. Today, we're now going to find out how we can better approach these parts in order to build an authentic connection. So that way we can get to a place where we can figure out just what these parts may be in need of, right? And we'll get to that in a bit. But today's going to focus on the 8 C's. When I think of those 8 C's, right, I think of it's a way in how we are going to identify these parts, how we're going to approach these parts. Because let's go back to that part of self doubt. Hi, B3 Picks TV. Blessings to you. Thank you for being here and be safe while you're driving. Be safe. All right. What's going on, TD Sports Talk? So happy to see you here this afternoon. Blessings to you. So, what becomes this hindrance, this barrier that we don't approach these parts? Like I said, once you realize you have that inner critic part, you're not going out here saying, yeah, everybody, what's up? Yeah, it's just my inner critic part coming through. You're not going out here among people saying, oh, my bad. It's that perfectionism part, even though basically I'm now procrastinating because I have aborted the mission because I did not dot every I and cross every T. I'm hearing you, Akando. And it is always my prayer that each of you will find it to be meaningful in a way that is going to be for you. That's that person-centered approach. And that's one of my favorite approaches, to be honest, y'all. Because it's not about what a book says. Anyone can study, right? But how much more meaningful are these conversations if I can eliminate so much clinical terminology? Y'all know what I do in my profession. I provide psychotherapy. Some people say I'm a clinician. Some people say I'm a therapist, whatever, right? But I want y'all to be able to grasp hold to something that you are going to be able to walk in, that you're going to be able to utilize. And it may not be for you per se. It may be for someone else. So thank you. All right, so let's get back to this. We can avoid these parts of self because we're not proud of them. Or what if they make us feel uncomfortable? So we think that we are exiling them. We think that we are, just having them ducked off, throwing them in a closet for a little bit, locking the door, throwing away the key, burying it until it begins to seep through. And these various parts begin to leak and affect several facets and areas of our overall being, our overall wellness. Because how can we say that we're stable and balanced if we're honest with ourselves? What's up, 503? So happy to see you. Y'all are truly making my heart smile on this good old Wednesday. Oh, yeah, it's a Wednesday. I'm off. So, yeah, it's a Wednesday. So happy to see you. Yeah, we can all say that. I'm quite transparent. I normalize. That's what I like to do. Just because I provide psychotherapy, I am not exempt from any of this. I have experienced it. Those who have been listening for some time, you've already learned and you've heard me say, I'm big into philosophy, meaning I question everything. So anything that I share on here, it's because even if I didn't need it, even if I may have not experienced certain mental health symptoms, I'm going to try it out and see if it be true before I begin to spread this word among the people, if you will. That's just me. What's up, Snoopy Mac? Really? So you literally gonna keep dropping that name. For those of you who weren't here, I had shared that, for many years I have utilized my name, and it was because of school purposes. It was required. But I was like, I kind of want to change it now. And so Snoopy Mac had offered Mystic Beauty. And then I went through this whole thing about I'd be concerned if people, have this mindset of like, what's on this channel? But then I said, I have y'all in here, so y'all will kick out anybody that's on some nonsense. What's up, Kamara? So happy to see you. I think I got it right this time. I'm confident. All right. Anyways, y'all, let's get back to this. So today we're going through the 8 C's. If we're saying we want to get to a place where we are no longer hindered by our approach to these parts. Daryl, what's up, family? What's up? So happy to have y'all. And I got it right. Thank you. I'm really excited because I was working hard last week. All right. So if I were to say, think of a C word that we may need to better approach these parts so we can identify them without judgment. What's up, D-Man Jr.? So happy to have you here with us. Oh, family. Okay. All right, y'all, we got to work now. If y'all are in the space to do so, right? You think of a C word that you would need in order, to begin the process of identifying and exploring these parts. I'll give y'all a little bit to kind of think about it. What's one C word we may need? Remember, a lot of these parts we may be in denial about. We're not, like I said, jumping up from, oh, D-Man said courage. That is one of the 8 C's, y'all. Why do y'all think we need courage? Why do you think exploring these parts would take courage for us, y'all? Could it be possibly? Yes, mommy, compassion. All right, let's get to this courage and then we're going to go to compassion. Those definitely are okay. Courage, self-esteem. Yeah, so we need courage, first part, that first C that we're going to explore. We need it because this part may be uncomfortable. That's right, Akondo. This part of ourselves may prove to be, uncomfortable. We're not jumping up and down that we have this part of ourselves. Blessings, what's up, Stormy? So happy to see the sensei. So happy to see you, family. Appreciate you. So we need courage. We need that bravery. Because not only are we going to start facing these uncomfortable parts of self, but we have to now become comfortable in midst of the discomfort, y'all. It's a lot to sit with, but always, as I tell you, you're not in it by yourself. You're not in it by yourself. I'm going to allow y'all to just sit with that, being courageous. So that way we can really start the work. Because while we're exploring these uncomfortable parts, it's going to take being courageous. Why? Because we may have to confront some things, right? We may have to confront these difficult memories. What about belief systems, experiences? Okay. Y'all are doing great. So that is one of the 8 C's. Good work, D Man Jr. Thank you all for contributing to that C, that courage, our first C word. Now, the next one my mommy said was compassion. You always hear me speak about how easy it is for us to extend this grace and compassion towards those who come across our paths, right? We can just find it so easy to extend it. But then what happens when it's time to extend it to ourselves? We become judgmental, right? You'll see where I'm going with this and why compassion is needed. What's up, Stray Godzilla? So happy to see you here. Blessings to you always. So, what would it look like if these parts of ourselves, either whether it be the inner child, whether it be the exile part, the part that we've exiled so much, right? We've suppressed, we've pushed it down, we've thrown it in a corner. We feel that if we don't look that way, it doesn't exist. Ah, look at y'all working. That's gonna come up, Snoopy Mac. I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all are just, I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all are working. So this compassion is very much needed. We need to be kind because if that's a part of ourselves that we have suppressed, it's not going to make itself known. It's not going to be like, hey, Cam, I'm here. Because it's not a part of me that I want to acknowledge. Yeah. It's not a part of me that I am proud of, if you will. So then you think about it like a child. What if we looked at these various parts of ourselves? Daryl, yeah, I mean, I can't get over y'all. Y'all are working. I'm so proud of y'all. So, what if we approached it with kindness as we would to this child? Oh, that correction. Yeah, yeah. We want it to come out. We've kept it exiled, that part of ourselves, we've kept it exiled too long. So, for me to be like, come out here and talk to me. Let me work with this part of myself. That part gonna be like, the hell is wrong with you? No, I will definitely go back in hiding. I'll come out when you least expect it. All it'll take is for you to be triggered. And there, you know, I shall be. So we want to be kind. We want to show compassion. We want to show acceptance to this part because in order for us to work through and resolve the reasons that this part is an internal conflict, we need to be gentle with it. We need not to judge or have any biases towards this part of self, even the behaviors that may be associated, y'all. All right, let's move on. We're working, y'all. Let me see. I want to scroll up because I'm going in order of how y'all were dropping them. Thank you, Mommy, for dropping that compassion one. The next one we're going to look at that is actually one of the 8 C's is going to be I want to go with confidence. And then I'm going to show you, Snoopy Mac, how we're going to incorporate the communication. Confidence. Now, it's not so much that it says it verbatim, but I want to hear from you all how confidence could be something that you need. And what if you don't have this confidence that you speak of? That's a whole nother topic. Because as much as we may want to have confidence, when we approach that part, it's not the easiest. But you can incorporate, you know what, but I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to be brave and confront this part, right? I'm going to be brave. And that is in itself confidence because it takes that to do so. It takes being able to make that stand, if you will, which then takes me back to even correction. Stormy B. Man said, the reason I said correction is it requires analysis of self, taking accountability of there's an adjustment in self, reflecting within. That part. Mhm. Yeah. So right now, these 8 C's that we're going through is literally setting the stage for us to invite these parts to just let themselves be shown, right? You're going to see why. It's a method to all of this, y'all. Deep Free Sports Talk. What's up, bro? Blessings to you. So happy you're here. So happy to see you. What about curiosity? I just want to kind of change it really quickly. Just I want us to stay on task. What about curiosity? Would we not need curiosity? Can y'all see how even accountability can be obtained at some point? All of these things can be obtained if you have some level of curiosity. No bias, no judgment, just curiosity. Daryl, that is what they say, Daryl. Stormy B. Man says, without confidence, one will lack initiative to act, take action, or inact, remain stagnant. That can be. And we actually spoke about that last week, if some of you remember, and how some of these parts can just become so stagnated, stuck, indecisiveness, because it's safer that way. Is it not safer to stay stagnated versus taking action, as Stormy said? Snoopy Mac says, can't be scared to take chances. And that is what we're doing. We are. When we start exploring these parts, it's like, you know what? I know I have other parts of myself. I can tell myself I don't. Okay, well, you can continue the lie. And I say that with full confidence. We all have parts of ourselves, y'all. Let me see. I don't want to miss anything. Y'all talking. And this just makes me so excited. Y'all have no idea. I love it when I feel as though we are really connecting this. Stray Godzilla said, personal shame is always a problem. Mhm. That's a part of yourself. That's a part, we spoke about even having that part of yourself that holds the self doubt, that inner critic, the part that questions everything you may set out to do. Can I really do it? Or the what if part. What if this happens? Almost catastrophizing. You tell yourself that, oh, it's not really catastrophizing. I'm planning for in case something happens. Do you know the amount of energy and anxiety it takes to constantly look towards the negative? that could come out of a situation? Because what if it doesn't happen? Just a different way to look at it. I'm looking through here. Yes, T Man Jr., believing in self. D. Free says, in order to succeed, you have to have confidence. If you don't have confidence, you're never going to believe. That can be so true. Yep, definitely. And I also know people personally that are successful because it depends on what one's definition of success is, and they lack confidence, y'all. Let's see. Daryl says it can come from calling up the strength you gained from past storms in your life. Yes, and someone in this chat said reflection. One of the families said about reflection. I believe it could have been Stormy. Yeah. When you are against something, and now I'm kind of veering off, but I'm going to bring it back. When you are up against something that seems so great, the mountain is just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this, right? I encourage you to reflect on a moment where you felt the same way and how you overcame that storm, as Daryl said. And that can definitely give you that confidence that D. Free was speaking of. Yes, Daryl, curiosity helps growth. And that is the key, is what it can do when we actually are aware of all aspects of self. There you go, D. Free. Yep, y'all are on it. You can feel it, Snoopy Mac. And that's my prayer, Snoopy Mac. Yep, I believe that to be so. Okondo says, and those questions get in the way of your growth as a person and success. Yes, but who hasn't had that happen? Who hasn't had that happen? Where you question even the slightest thing, or let's flip it, someone that you respect or you hold to a certain standard and expectation questions you. And they question you to the point where you begin to question self. Remember, we talked about even possibly being around someone who is gaslighting you and how it can distort the reality. I do Stray Godzilla, but I'm so not consistent over there. I'm not. Like, then I get overwhelmed when I go over there just because I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have so many people that have said comments and I haven't responded. So, yeah, maybe one day I'll be more active. Right now is not the time, but yeah. Self doubt is normal. Letting it overtake you isn't normal. Hmm. Letting it overtake you. Is it that it's okay? So then the philosophy side of me, who determines what normal is? Who determines that? You don't even have to answer. Just think about it. Who determines what the norm is? And is it even a who, or is it what is shaped our belief systems, right? I can say that for self, that a lot of what I say is normal, if you will, it's based off of my personal belief systems. It's based off of how I've been shaped and conditioned. That part, Darren, yep, y'all are on it, man. So we've already said being compassionate. When you're compassionate to someone, Are you aggressive or are you calm with them? Hmm. Yeah, D Man Jr. I'm hearing you, Stray Godzilla. You want to be calm. Now, those of you who've been kind of chilling with me for some time, how do we gain this calmness when we want to approach these various parts of self? In order to gain calmness, we have to be grounded. Snoopy Max says, what should you do on Instagram is tell them you will pick 7 comments and answer them at the end of the session. That way you won't be overwhelmed. I'll keep that in my back pocket. Like I said, so far on Instagram, I've like posted a couple of pictures, you know, and I didn't do anything else to be honest. But I like that idea. I like that idea. I do. But no, it was just the entire platform thing itself. Like the whole app was overwhelming for me. I was like, what the heck? It was so much going on. But I like that idea, Snoopy Matt. That's pretty cool. Daryl says it depends. Compassion can come in the form of tough love. Hmm. We're not talking about with others, though. We're talking about with these parts of yourself and these aspects of self that have proven not to be the most beneficial for you. And they come out not at the best times. Remember, they're coming out when we are easily triggered and that exile is triggered. And they come out to manage our core self. But yeah, definitely at times, tough love is needed. Correction is needed. Consistency is needed. All of those things. I can see that. Yeah. Commitment or committed. You on it, Stormy? All right, y'all. Remember, all of these 8 C's are the way that we're going to approach these aspects of self because we're doing parts work. This is the modality that we're using right now, y'all. And we're just doing it together as a family, right? What's up, Joseph Townsend? Blessings to you, family. So happy to have you here. So, what about clarity? How can we utilize clarity in approaching these parts of self? Why do we need clarity, right? I always think of it this way, y'all. When we're approaching anything, you ever become lost in the weeds that you pay so much attention to these intricate details? You get lost in the weeds, you forget the bigger picture, right? Just a different way to think about it. So we want to approach these parts of self with this clarity, right? Because then that's going to begin to also promote, us moving forward in a way that is insightful, being self-aware, right? Daryl says clarity gives us a plan. You got it. A vision, a route to whatever you got to get out of. Mhm. And we need it because we also have probably had times where we did not operate in clarity. We only have a couple more before we come to the end and put all this together. And I'm really excited about that part. What about creativity? Remember, we are taking the current self, the core self, and exploring our various parts of self. Would we not need creativity in order to be innovative, in order to be more flexible? What about adaptability, right? I'm hoping that y'all are seeing how all of these are needed to achieve that which we set out to do in our current self. So that way, these parts are not managing you, y'all. How can we say, like, just being totally honest, how can we boldly say, oh, I am present in the now if I'm being managed by parts of the past? Good afternoon. What's up, underrated darkness? Blessings to you. Blessings to you. So happy to have you in here. Insane says, step back, analyze what's going on around you. That will be the only way you can gain clarity. Yeah, at times we do have to step back because sometimes, what if it happens where we're too close to the chaos? All emotions should be attached to logic. Now, when I read that Stray Godzilla, it puts me in that DBT mindset. Some of you have been here for that video where we talked about wise mind, and that is where we acknowledge the emotions, but also notice that we need that reasonable mind or logical mind as well. Yeah, most definitely, Daryl, most definitely. Joseph says, clarity clears the conscious and enhances accurate decision making. That part, it definitely can, because, like we just said, we're operating in that wise mind, not an emotional mind, not so rigid and logical, but in a wise mind because we've considered both aspects. Snoopy Max says, I'm like that right now. I'm trying to learn how to operate this new piece of equipment. I have to produce music, and I have no clarity or creativity. I believe it's the location I'm in. I can't get it. Could be. Right now, I would say that I can see that y'all are being present, because then what if I look at it? You ever been physically present somewhere, but holistically you were not present? I.e., you're having a conversation with someone, they then ask you a question and you snap back into the conversation. You're like, oh, hell, I ain't hear sugar, honey, iced tea. They said, I promise you, you were not present. You were there physically, right? Yeah. Daryl. And see, Daryl, one day I'm going to do a video about crashing out. Stormy B Man said, let's put it all together. Shout out. Yes. Love me some stylistics, y'all. I love music though, for those of you that know me. Oh, Daryl. Insane says yes in past relationships. Absolutely. Yeah, mommy. That part, Stray Godzilla. Yep, you can do that on purpose. I do it. I'll actually joke. What's up, Judd? Nice to see you. Blessings to you. Y'all, my heart is truly smiling, y'all. Y'all really just don't know how glad it makes my heart when y'all take this time out for these conversations. But okay, I'll have a joke where sometimes People will start having senseless conversation around me at work, and then they'll say something else, and I'm like, my bad. I dissociated intentionally because at that moment, it's just a waste of brain cells for me personally. I can't speak for no one else, but yeah, I can be that way at times. All right, y'all. The last thing, the last C, is connection. We said that from the very beginning. It's to gain authentic connection. Exactly, Daryl. Like, yeah, I can just totally be like, phew, almost like when I think of when myself, our band, when we're playing, and I'm just over the rehearsal because it's just not, yeah. I'm like, you didn't practice. I don't know what you're doing. And I literally just pulling all the chords out. And I'm like, I'll see y'all next week. Because I'm just done at that point. But that overall connection, that's what we're trying to achieve with these parts, y'all. And it takes all of the C's and everything that y'all dropped, the gems y'all shared in the chat today. It takes all of that in order to achieve it. Thank you, Stray Godzilla. I appreciate you. Um, so in order to connect, we have to connect with curiosity. We have to connect with this boldness, bravery, courage. We have to connect in a calmness. We have to know when we may need to acknowledge we're not being accountable. And so that core self can kind of, add some correction when needed, right? It's a balance because sometimes we spend our lives being so judgmental on self or even others to avoid self. Who knows? I'm not you, right? So, real quick, because this is going to prepare us for the next time we talk. What are some spaces y'all like to hang out at where y'all like, I'm feeling, what's up? Freedom Smarts, blessings to you, family. Yes, balance and curiosity makes me feel at peace. I'm hearing you. Now, let's talk about physical spaces, and y'all are going to see why. Because if you're in a space where you can take a moment to just use that creativity we talked about and imagine, what's a space that you say, I like to hang out. I like my friends to join me. I like family to be there. I'll throw one out, which is what if it's at like a sports game, sports arena, um, a cookout. Okay, yeah, home can be one. You got it. What if it's going to church or somewhere where there's a lot of fellowship, right? What if it's the nearest coffee shop? Can be Waffle House. I don't know. Only when you think of a place. So now that, okay, the gym, there we go. Now we're going to use this creativity real quick, y'all. Imagine that we want to invite all of these parts to that gym. We want to invite all of these parts to maybe a studio. What if you have a music studio? We want to invite all of these parts of self to your home. I'm going to let y'all sit with that. Imagine that. Who do you think would show up? Which parts do you think will show up? Is that inner child still like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to come out? Are some of these parts of self been so exiled that they are literally standing in the shadows? They will not come out. They're like, nope, you are not going to hold me accountable, as our good brother Stormy, the sensei, was speaking of. Before we leave, I want us to try something. What's up, Junior? The truth. Awesome live this morning. Awesome live this morning. I really appreciated that live. So happy to see you, family. Before we go, I want us to start identifying and labeling these parts, but we're only going to start with one. What part of yourself is coming right now that you're like, yep, that's a part of myself? What if it's a resistant part? What if I might have, kind of touched the nerve a little bit? So it might be a little resistant. I'm going to show you what it would look like. I'm going to show you the part that I deal with sometimes. Let's see. All right. So self-doubt would be one of my parts that may show up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it shows up at the not best. So, the best times, it may be something that I really want to do. What's up, NVAD Nice? It may be something a goal that I know in my core self that I'm fully capable of. I'm competent. I'm credentialed. And that inner critic will come up. So if I wanted to even give that part a name, I could call him the inner critic. It's that inner critic part. Overthinking. That overthinking part showed up. Yeah, Judd. Daryl says, yeah, that shows up for me. It might be an introvert thing. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. And if you don't tie it to anything else, I would just be interested to see when it first started showing up. Because self-doubt can definitely be linked to a lot of other things. So like I'm an introvert, right? It comes out in my shyness, being overstimulated. If it's just too many conversations, what recharges me is moments to myself because I love being around people, right? It's almost like that introverted, extroverted type thing. Okay, look at y'all, the overthinking, confusion. Mhm. Yeah, name it. Let's name that part of self. And then now that you've identified, and this is just one part, because there's so many parts of us, y'all, so many aspects of self. The goal is to allow you to get to a space where you can identify them so that way we can maybe begin to work through them. So don't forget these parts that y'all have listed so that way we can actually start working through these parts together. That's going to be really fun, and I'm hoping that it's going to be life-changing. I really am. So yeah, you just put a label on it, put a name to it. Because like I said, a lot of these parts manage us. How wonderful could it be, and would it be, if core self was the one that was managing? Would it not be empowering to not have these damn parts pop up and not the best time, right? Yeah, Snoopy Mac. And that's why I said, yeah, for me, I'm an introvert. My baseline, introvert. And I do have moments where I'm an extrovert. Jet says, I'm very balanced. I like having my own space, but I don't like being too alone over time. That's why I have a few good friends in my circle. I agree. I can definitely relate to that. Yes. Yes. Y'all continue to just walk in truth, not just what we believe, right? Because then I can come back and question and say, well, if I just say I believe, then something could be true, or it may not be true. But I want you to boldly walk in your truth, recognizing, is it who I am in my current and core self, or is it perhaps another part that's coming out? Keep in mind all of those things that y'all have listed today, so that way we can actually start working through these parts the next time we chat. What's up, Trill Will? So happy to see you. I appreciate you, family. Anybody want to share anything that okay, thank you, Thomas. I definitely will. Thank you. Um Anybody want to share anything that resonated for you today? You don't have to. I'll give you just a brief moment. Anything that resonated, anything that stuck out to you, anything that you are like, yeah, I'm going to really look into that, or I can see that being helpful. I really don't have a specific time. Um, it kind of depends. Sometimes after I've worked, um, I have to really give myself even more space. And so I may not be in the space to do videos. So I really don't have a schedule. I don't. I'll be honest about that. Yeah. All right, y'all. Just keep in mind we're all doing this thing called life for the very first time. The same kindness and gentleness that you extend so graciously to others, extend it to yourself. Take a load off. What's up, DP Rocker? So happy to see you, family. That's awesome, Daryl. I appreciate you being here as well. I really do. Y'all did awesome work today. I thank each and every one of you for being here. Even if you were here and was like, I don't necessarily want to chat, or maybe you weren't in the space to be able to type. I thank you as well. Anybody that goes back and maybe has to listen to the replay, I appreciate you as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and peace and blessings always. All right, y'all, until next time.